Krypton for a long time was a place of carnage. Monsters would scour the world over and over again, and many would die. Frankly, these weren't humans, or at least humanoid creatures that we would know of, and how ones we've seen for a long time. These were monsters, creatures, animals. All of them would continue. All of this carnage would continue. Death and offsprings would cycle through, out, in, it didn't matter. But soon, development would arrive on Krypton. Everybody would begin to develop, and those humanoid-like creatures with amazing strength and powers would then arrive. Everything began to change extremely quickly. But just as it began to change, and just as everything seemed to be elevated, everything began to go crashing down. Everyone and everything on Krypton began to explode, get destroyed, and be annihilated. Except for one boy. In this universe, there is no Superman. There is no son of Krypton that we know. But there is one that, well, would come to Earth itself. With a little heads up, Naruto in this universe would be sent off of Krypton on a ship before, well, the eventual destruction of his home planet. But his space pod and his ship would begin barreling down away. But it seems that it was sent off course and eventually sent to the place we know as Earth. In a brand new time though, in a time where shinobis and basically ninjas were at war. Now, with Naruto barreling down all the way to Earth, obviously not being named Naruto at this time, with his original Kryptonian name, he would barrel down toward Earth and slam into a mountain. He'd sit there for a little bit, not much longer, but eventually the fourth Hokage, by the name of Minato, would find the young child, bringing him to his wife by the name of Kushina. They would talk about what they were going to do. They were already pregnant with a child themselves, but they weren't sure. But eventually they get a little visit from Jiraiya. Jiraiya would see the child and could tell that this child had extreme potential, and that maybe this child could be named Naruto instead, and the child that they're currently bearing could be named one of their own personal names. And of course, Minato is completely fine with this. He brings it up to the other elders and everybody else about this young boy by the name of Naruto that they decide to parent in, and obviously take in as their own son. They begin to explain who he is and where he came from. It seems like they even have alien technology that has come from the sky, that they should definitely research it as well. Nonetheless though, the main priority is Naruto himself, explaining that he should not be left out on his own, he's just a baby. So that's exactly what they would do. They would take care of Naruto, keep him safe. But what would happen? What would happen when Kushina would go into pregnancy? Would obviously give birth. And when she does, her seal on her stomach would change, break, and the nine-tailed fox would reveal itself. What would occur right after that moment, and how will that affect everything else? Well, we're about to find out on What If Naruto Was A Kryptonian. Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back, and we're here with a Naruto What If. This is part 1 of What If Naruto Was A Kryptonian. This is my first Naruto What If. I know technically I did do one a long time ago, but in all fairness, that barely even counts. I didn't even finish it, and frankly, it was just one of those Naruto What Ifs that I did when I first started YouTube, and I really didn't know what I was doing. And frankly, right now, I don't know what I'm doing because I haven't done a Naruto What If in its entirety yet. Nonetheless, though, if you enjoy, make sure to leave a like, sub, and comment down below, all that good stuff. Make sure to blow this video up if you want a part 2, because obviously, this is out of my ballpark. Normally, I don't do Naruto stuff, but this will be a little bit different. Obviously, we'll see what we can do. Nonetheless, like I said, I hope you all enjoyed, and we're not going to waste much more of your time, and let's get right into the what if. Let's get it. The nine-tailed fox would eventually be released, and it would begin to run rampant on the entirety of the village, just like normal. Of course, the Nine Tails would eventually be confronted by Minato, and all of the fights that happened originally would happen again. But in this scenario, something else would occur. Something extremely and painfully sad. The young child that Kushina would basically birth eventually would die. Kushina's seal would be broken, but the child would not live much longer after being birthed. But unfortunately, they don't have much time to sob. And Minato realizes this and tries his best to protect Kushina, protect the village, and protect everyone else. But a baby Naruto, a young baby Naruto, would begin waddling out into danger. Everybody's so scared that they don't even realize that this young, very small child was waddling out into the line of fire. Minato wouldn't even realize this until Naruto would be all the way next to the dying Kushina that is basically on the ground next to Minato. Minato would realize this as it seems that the nine-tailed fox is going to attack Naruto. Trying to do so, Minato is able to eventually protect Naruto, but is forced to seal the nine-tailed fox half inside of him and the other half into the young Kryptonian. After doing this, it seems as if Kushina and also Minato would not make it, leading to their eventual deaths and the questioning of this young child and what exactly he is to be put into basically a lens. They all are terrified of Naruto, not just because he has the nine-tailed fox within him, but also because he's part alien. It seems like all the rumors began to spread at the idea that Naruto wasn't even born in this world, that he's not even the child of Minato and Kushina in technicality. He's from a brand new world, somewhere that they have no construct of. He's even come on his own spaceship. Naruto would eventually be taken in by Lord Third, but the only problem is the entire village would hate him. There's no way around it. He has the nine-tailed fox within him, and he's some alien child that was supposed to be what? Some predestined god? None of them care. Maybe the reason why this all happened was because he landed. There's no way it would have been a coincidence. He must have brought more and more, well, pain. This would lead Naruto to just growing up with the third Hokage. Eventually, when he was old enough to basically take care of himself, that's exactly what he would do. The only problem is, he didn't have anybody to help him learn his powers. Eventually, on his own, at such a young age, he'd learn of his insane strength, his superhuman strength. He'd just grab one of his tables and on accident break it in half. He'd realize he was so strong, but maybe he could be strong. Maybe he could be strong like all the people in the village, like the third Hokage. Now, obviously, Naruto is very, well, let's just say clueless. He didn't really think much about the people that were basically writing him off, saying that he might be a curse, and he's really just thinking of the third Hokage as a father figure. Even though the third Hokage, let's be honest, isn't going to help Naruto that much. He won't go against his people to that degree. His people believe that Naruto is some sort of curse, so the third Hokage would eventually part ways with Naruto to a certain extent, giving him enough money to survive, but unfortunately not keeping him at arm's length for a long time. Naruto would grow up on his own, trying to learn how to control his powers, try to learn anything he possibly could, eventually leading him to just being out in the forest on his own, and he's just trying to punch trees. He continues to punch tree after tree, leaving massive dents in these trees. People would eventually see these from night to night, wondering where they come from. Naruto would stop punching trees and would just start working on his combat, normal combat. He doesn't really understand too much about this ninjutsu or taijutsu and stuff like that. He just knows how to fight. He doesn't really know how to utilize his chakra, even though to a certain extent he is using chakra. But he hasn't been taught much at all. He hasn't had somebody to really father him into it, and frankly for a while he just wouldn't ever. But eventually, when he was just in the forest once again, walking down a nearby river, he would hear a young girl screaming for help as she was basically getting bullied. He'd walk over and see 3 of these younger kids, slightly older than Naruto though, bullying a little girl by the name of Hinata Hyuga. He'd immediately jump into play and basically jump in to defend her, and Naruto would absolutely destroy these kids. It wouldn't even be close. These kids would be extremely injured though. Naruto, not knowing his difference in power, he hurts them extremely bad, leaving one with a broken rib and the others extremely injured as well. Naruto would help Hinata up and eventually try to get her to basically her home. But eventually one of the Hyuga family, or the people that work for them, come over, and immediately seeing Naruto, they push him away and take Hinata away, telling her to never go near that boy again, that he is accursed and that he is some alien and they should never have allowed him in this village in the first place, that people that fall from the sky should never be allowed into their village. Naruto would take this with a grain of salt. He's been seeing this a lot recently, and it's okay. He realizes that there's a lot of people and they have certain basically opinions on him. Nonetheless, Naruto would just go back home, but when he would arrive at home, he would feel something. He would sense something. This is odd. He's not sure what it is. But soon he would realize what it was when 3 kunais would come out of nowhere, spiraling at Naruto. They'd slam into his body, but as they do, they'd shatter on impact. The kunais themselves would break in half, and one of them would shatter immediately, entirely into little fragments when it hit just the square face of Naruto's chest. Naruto would look up to see 3 people standing there ready for a fight, ready to kill a young boy. Naruto's emotions would overwhelm him, not knowing what's even going on. How could they do this? Why would they even try to kill me? Naruto would reminisce, thinking that he's just a kid. The Lord Third would never allow this to happen, right? Naruto watches as the 3 of them, or the 3 basically shinobi that are there, attack him. But just as they're charging in, his eyes would glow in the night, glow in the dark, and red would come straight out of them, shooting laser beams out of his eyes, mowing all 3 of them down, cutting all 3 of them in half, and obliterating half of the building he's in. Everybody around, the people, citizens, other shinobi would arrive to see the decimation, see Naruto in his own home, and the 3 shinobis dead there as well. And everybody, in their basically non-common sense brain, would believe that Naruto must have captured them somehow and killed them. The 3rd Hokage would obviously see otherwise. It's pretty obvious that the evidence is there, that the other 3 shinobi were there to kill Naruto, and Naruto did what he had to do to survive. But there is nothing he can really say to tell them otherwise. He tells them exactly what happened, saying that there's proof and solid evidence of this, and multiple other shinobis, top of their line, Jonins in fact, say the same thing. That exactly what the 3rd Hokage is saying. Hiruzen is telling them that Naruto killed them out of self-defense. But of course, the citizens refused to believe this and said that they will not be around Naruto. They would not let their kids around Naruto, that they'll have to figure out another way for him to become a shinobi, if that's what he wants to be, or he can leave the village now. Of course, this put Hiruzen in a really bad spot, so he decides to do something else. He decides that he's going to, well, personally make some actions happen for Naruto. After some struggle to rebuild his apartment, because frankly there's not many citizens that want to even help, and other Jonins are really the only ones that truly want to help and think that Naruto did nothing wrong at this moment, they begin to help out, build his apartment back up together. And Hiruzen would eventually arrive with something interesting. He'd slap something on Naruto's desk and show him a ton of study material and a ton of work that he needed to figure out on his own, and maybe with some help of some other Jonin, but frankly, it's not like they had the time to do such a thing. He shows him exactly what it is, and Naruto's confused. What is this? He'd get his answer. All study material to eventually allow him to basically be a ninja, to be a shinobi. And this would allow him to not go to school with the others, but eventually they would have to work together, and the parents and the other people would have no choice in that, because once he joins a team of 3 with one of the other Jonin, it wouldn't matter anymore. But now, for now, he needs to prove and show everybody how capable he is, how strong he is. So Naruto will do just that, beginning to study on his own more and more. Naruto's motivation is through the roof. He knows what he did was not necessarily right, but also not necessarily wrong. He knows that there was no real way out of it. But at the same time, he does realize if he had control over his power, maybe he could have just knocked them out. Maybe he could have just done something, I don't know, simple. But nonetheless, there is no going back on what he did, and there is no going back on the way the people look at him. Naruto, being the wielder of Kurama himself, and also an alien, he'll have to deal with any consequences that the village seems to put on him no matter what. With that said, the studying would begin. And yes, this may be boring, but that's exactly what he'd do. He'd study and then also mix up a chain of basically trying to figure out these techniques. Trying to figure out different clone jutsus or anything he possibly can. Just basically anything he's learned or was supposed to learn in the academy. And when his time for a test would come around, Naruto would basically be in front of a class of peers, quote unquote, that he didn't know. He didn't know any of these people. He actually only could point out one of them, a girl with these white eyes, Hinata. That's the only girl or only person he could possibly know. He's heard about a couple of them. Sasuke Uchiha, the last of the Uchiha clan, he's heard about the massacre and finds it kind of crazy that he's the last one alive out of everybody, and frankly he's treated as if he's some god, he's some awesome person. Himself, obviously Naruto, would be treated like nothing, like trash. Nonetheless, he'd look around and really not spot anybody else out, but just continue on with his little test, and actually he'd be able to pass. I mean, he's not passing with flying colors by all means. He kind of had to train himself, but at the same time, Naruto has insane potential. He's a new person in this. He's a full Kryptonian, and frankly, yeah, maybe he wouldn't know how to use chakra by any means, but at the same time, a Kryptonian would have insane potential. In terms of physical attributes, that's a whole different story. Naruto could go and throw hands with anybody at the academy right now, and probably a lot of Chunin, and frankly, maybe even some lower level Jonin. Like, Naruto can really just brute strength a lot of people, but he realizes that it's more than just that. He's trying to learn some more technique, he's trying to learn more this or more that. That's his goal, that's what he wants to do. So nonetheless, he'll show exactly that. But since he was able to pass, he would be allocated onto a team, and everybody feels extremely uncomfortable with Naruto in the room. Do they know why exactly? No. Their parents have just told them to stay away from this boy. This boy by the name of Naruto. That he basically is some accursed child. They don't even know why. The parents just tell him to stay away. That he's somehow meant to be hated. But nonetheless, Naruto would just sit there calmly waiting, and eventually his basically leader, or the Jonin that's gonna be basically teaching them, will arrive. And the last 3 people there are actually Naruto, Hinata, and also Sasuke Uchiha. When the person walks in, there is no little basically eraser or the little chalkboard eraser to wait for him. Kakashi would walk in and tell all 3 of them to come follow him, and that they're about to start the real test. After some time of walking and talking, eventually Kakashi would reveal what the plan is, that he's going to put them all under something known as the bell test, that they're all going to have to try and grab a bell from him. Naruto is kind of confused by this, saying and asking, wouldn't that be kind of easy? But of course Kakashi smiles and says that he'll definitely have to see before making that conclusion. Nonetheless, Naruto would look at the 2 people next to him and ask if maybe they should come up with some sort of plan. Sasuke denying this, saying that he doesn't need a plan from somebody that nobody likes, and that he's some loser that couldn't even be in the academy with everyone else, and that he'll do this on his own. Naruto kind of shakes this off, actually kind of having some basically tough skin, but Hinata agrees with the idea of having a little bit of a plan. Naruto would lay out a small plan that he's read in a book, or one of the books that they've had, and it's just a simple formation that he's found in one of the books he studied. A formation called some triangle formation. So eventually they would adapt that into it, but Sasuke would always, or will want, to get his little 1 versus 1 against Kakashi, showing that he does have a ton of potential. But just as Kakashi neutralizes him entirely, Naruto would come out of nowhere with blazing speed, throwing a punch at Kakashi. Kakashi's forced to get out of there immediately, as the punch itself sends a shockwave of wind toward the trees behind them, blowing over multiple trees. Kakashi realizes that boy, he's been training, he's been working hard, and Naruto, if he lands a punch on him, it's gonna hurt like hell. He grabs Sasuke and is able to bail out relatively quickly with Hinata, and Sasuke says that he didn't need his help, but Naruto says that it seemed otherwise. Nonetheless, their plan would eventually go into effect, and Naruto would take lead, taking all of the attacks from Kakashi. Every attack that Kakashi would hit him with would hurt, but Naruto was like a tank, a machine pushing forward no matter what, taking blow after blow, and of course he'd get worn down slowly but surely, but Naruto was not afraid to take these hits. He knew that he was limited in terms of what he can do. He had no intention of trying to basically blow up Kakashi with his laser beams or something. No, he wants to just get inside, get close, and hopefully give up an opening for them to grab the bells. Naruto would continue to do this, refusing to let Kakashi off the hook, and eventually Kakashi would try to find his opening. But there is no opening. Eventually, one of the bells would be almost grabbed by Sasuke, and Hinata would almost snag the other one. They're getting close, and they even realize it. This last little attack will get them there. They can tell. They execute another assault with Naruto's basically doing the same thing, but instead Naruto would go in for a clean punch. But that's what Kakashi would think, punching toward the ground, creating a huge dust cloud, allowing for them to close the distance toward them, or toward Kakashi, and actually going after the bells once again. And this time though, the bells would be grabbed, Sasuke grabbing one and Hinata grabbing the other, because Naruto is in front of Kakashi, right on top of him, holding him still. There is no way for him to run, and there was no setup for Kakashi to get out of there in the first place. Unfortunately, the speed of Naruto was just flat out too much to keep up with, at least off the rip. Of course, his technique might not be flawless, and if Kakashi was going all out, of course Kakashi would have stood a chance by all means, but Kakashi was just playing defensively and giving them a chance. His goal isn't to punish them by kicking them in the face or anything, it's to show them that teamwork matters. And after the bells were grabbed, they would ask and wonder if what's going to happen to Naruto now. But Kakashi would tell them that their teamwork was flawless, it was perfect, and they all pass. That it was pretty obvious that it would be the case. I mean, and he looks at Naruto, questioning if Naruto knew this. Naruto looks at him and shakes his head, saying that he just wanted to win. That's it. He didn't really care. As long as they got the bells, that means they won in general, and that's all that mattered to him. And Kakashi kind of nods and smiles at this fact. The fact that Naruto didn't necessarily care about him grabbing a bell, just that the bells were grabbed, which is something for him to definitely think about. But with that said, they begin to go on some ticky-tack missions. Of course, these missions are practically nothing. It's extremely easy. Every mission they go on is super basic, and it's kind of just a pushover, as a matter of fact. Finally though, after some time, they'd get their first C rank mission. But the only problem is that this mission would not be C ranked. It would be far, far higher, but they wouldn't know that when they're going into it. Naruto, Sasuke, Hinata, and Kakashi would head into their first C rank mission, or at least C rank mission together. Obviously, Kakashi has done far more than they have. But they would begin to guide this bridge builder. They'd bring this bridge builder away, but soon they'd be ambushed by these two brothers of some sorts. But quickly, Sasuke would dismantle one of them, and straight up, Naruto would just one-hit the other, slamming him into the ground and knocking him out instantly. Kakashi would immediately want answers from the bridge builder, but he would say that he didn't have enough money to pay for a higher, basically, or a higher ranked shinobi to come with him, and so on and so forth. But eventually, they decide that they'll go along with their little mission. After capturing the two people that ambushed them, they put them away, and then eventually would head off toward this so-called bridge. During this little trip, though, they'd come across someone extremely strong, someone extremely serious, and Kakashi would immediately tell the other three to stay back, protect the bridge builder, and that's it. He'll handle what's in front of them. What's in front of them currently is a man by the name of Zabuza, a very, very strong person, a very strong shinobi. It seems like he is ready for a real fight, and the person that they're after is the bridge builder. Naruto and obviously Sasuke and Hinata make a surrounding barrier around the bridge builder, but during this fight, Kakashi would lose his footing and lose the upper hand, getting stuck in a small puddle of water. Seemingly now it's up to them three to figure this out. Naruto and Sasuke look at each other, and Naruto makes his move forward. That same little technique that they did, they will do it with just him and Naruto. They would make sure that Naruto takes all the blows, but at the same time, he needs to make sure that he doesn't get caught. Throughout all the training they've done so far, Naruto is getting a bit more of a grip on his power, but this time, this enemy, he doesn't need to hold back. Kakashi makes that extremely apparent. Naruto nods, and this will be the first time he'll truly let loose. Zabuza, making a water clone of himself, walks toward Naruto and Sasuke, ready to kill the two of them immediately so that he can get to the person that he needs dead. Naruto watches as Zabuza walks up, and in a flash, almost in an instant, Naruto is right on top of him, punching him straight into the ground and dashing forward. Wait, no. Flying forward at the real Zabuza at insane speeds. Zabuza is confused. How the hell did this kid do that? He goes to grab Naruto, trying to basically detain him. Yes, the water clone is weaker than Zabuza to a certain extent, but not that much weaker. Naruto closes in on the real Zabuza and lands a critical blow to his stomach. He slightly lets go of Kakashi, giving Kakashi that little upper hand that he needed. Kakashi takes over, and Naruto bails out, being kind of exhausted. He hasn't used that much strength in a while. He's really never has in general, only in his trainings when he's trying to punch through trees and stuff like that. So let's just say that punch was far stronger than you ever see. Naruto has done critical damage to Zabuza, and Kakashi will easily clean this up. Kakashi stands in front of him with a kunai to his neck and basically tells him that he can see the future, that Zabuza is dead. But just as he says this, senbones begin to be lodged into the neck of Zabuza himself, and Naruto is confused. Who is this person? Why would this person just show up? They're claiming to be from the Hidden Mist, and that they've been hunting down Zabuza this entire time, and that she needs to take him away for basically him to be dissected and make sure that the secrets of the mist never get out. But Naruto would look at them oddly, extremely oddly, and would be confused. Immediately he would dash in, and before Zabuza could be completely taken away, he slams Haku into the wall. Kakashi is confused at what's happening, and Naruto says that he's read about these people. They won't take the body away to dissect them, they dissect them immediately. This is an imposter. Naruto looks dead into Haku's face as Zabuza is out of commission. Frankly, this fight is far from over, but at the same time, does Haku and Zabuza even have a chance? But with a bleak opening, Haku is able to get out of there with Zabuza, surprisingly enough. Just enough so that Naruto and the rest of the people there, Hinata, Sasuke, and also Kakashi, can't go around and find them quick enough. They were just able to escape. But the only problem is Haku is extremely injured. The punch that he landed on Haku extremely hurt the person. Frankly, Haku has multiple broken ribs, and it's going to take some time to fully recover. Naruto is something else, something really strong, and he must be the person that they've heard about, this surprise alien that fell from the sky. Haku and Zabuza still have a job. Their job is to kill the bridge builder. That's it. That's what they need to do. Eventually, they get the bridge builder to exactly where they needed to be. And Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata would begin training with Kakashi. Various ways that Kakashi feels are going to be the best. Basically trying to teach them perfect chakra control. Learning how to climb a tree without using their hands, only their feet. Trying to climb up as if they were just walking normally. They'd try this over and over again and eventually would learn how to do it. But Naruto would struggle. He'd tell them why would he have to do this when he can literally fly, flying up to the top of the tree and sitting up there. But Kakashi tells him that's not the point, that he needs to learn chakra control, that this will help him in the long run, make him even stronger. Once Naruto hears this though, he locks back in and begins to try over and over and over and over again, eventually being able to get to the level that Sasuke and Hinata are at. Well, all really Naruto had to hear was that he was going to get stronger. That's kind of been his thing for a long time. Maybe it runs in his blood, maybe it doesn't, maybe it's just the mindset that has put him on the right track, but that's all Naruto wants to do. After some time would pass and the bridge would continuously be built, Haku and Zabuza would show up again, but nowhere near the strength they were, and on top of that, some other cronies would show up with them as well. Naruto would stand there and look at them and ask them if this is really what they want. They could have left. They could have. They gave them that chance. They're confused. What do you mean, gave them that chance? Naruto reveals to Kakashi that, well, he saw them. He knew where they were. But Naruto knows that they're outclassed. This immediately puts Zabuza and Haku in shock. Outclassed by a kid like him? But they're in denial. In terms of brute strength, there is no beating Naruto. In speed, there really is no beating Naruto. Not compared to what they have. Yes, Naruto might not have perfect control of his power, but Naruto could tell that there was some good in them. There was some sort of family relation within them. That they enjoyed their presence to a certain extent and that they mattered to each other. Naruto questions this over and over, but the boss that basically contracted Zabuza and Haku are still behind them, telling them that they need to kill the bridge builder, they need to do this, or else that they're basically just pets, leading to Haku and Zabuza turning on them and absolutely destroying the cronies that are there. Haku and Zabuza look at Naruto, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Hinata, asking Kakashi if he's going to bring them in. Kakashi looks at them and looks at Naruto. Nah, I don't think I will. I'll just say that you got away. Unfortunately, a mist of, water came out of nowhere and we lost track of you. And we'll get you the next time we see you. Sounds about right. What do you think, Naruto? Naruto looks at Kakashi with the vintage smile and a thumbs up at his waist, and immediately a mist of water would appear, and Zabuza and Haku were gone. Just like that. Immediately gone and out of there. It seems like that good side of Naruto is shining the most out of everything. The raw power itself, the power that he holds, may be something that many are terrified of. But at the same time, what he uses it for is what matters. Will he use it on the side of good? Will he use it to make sure that he is a symbol, a statement, someone that will protect others? Or will he use it to conquer? Everything that his village wants, they could have it. Even Naruto's, to a certain extent, is limiting himself in terms of power. You never know how strong this young child can get, and he's only, you could say, maybe 12, 13. He's not very old by any means. Naruto is extremely young. Being the age of basically a young teen, Naruto has insane potential. They help the bridge builder out, they finish up and make sure he's safe, and the bridge is then finished. Everybody is happy, at least the people that aren't completely corrupt or in the grave, and Naruto and Team 7, with obviously Kakashi, would head off back to the Hidden Leaf. When they arrived, the news of that mission going haywire would be relayed, but obviously they would get commended for their valiant efforts. And after some time would pass and some other D-rank missions and actual C-rank missions would go on, they would eventually get news from Kakashi about the Chunin exams, and that they will join them. So what will happen with Kryptonian Naruto in the Chunin exams? And what will happen with Team 7 with Naruto, Hinata, and Sasuke Uchiha? Well, you'll have to find out on the next part of What If Naruto Was A Kryptonian. Well, that's part 1, boys. If you enjoyed and you want to see more, make sure to show love on this video. That's obviously, if you want to see it and you want to see more, I'll get it out to y'all. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. This actually been kind of fun. I haven't done a Naruto What If in a really long time. I've also, like, obviously I made the first one I ever did was like the whole, if you're a real OG, you know it's What If Naruto was either trained or raised by trained by Master Roshi. That was a long time ago. Obviously my style is a lot different now, whatever I do, whatever, but nonetheless, we're here, and we'll see how far we get into this series. Hopefully, ideally, I want to finish it, but I mean, let's be honest, Naruto is pretty overpowered, so we'll see how balanced, quote unquote, it stays, and it's not really balanced right now. Nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoyed, and make sure to check the links in the description, all that good stuff, and I hope all of y'all have an amazing day. Later.